Hello, everybody. This is Colton here, and this is a Q&A podcast. With me, I have Aaron Hobbs,
Hello.
Tristan Barker,
Hi.
Lindsay,
Hey,
and Avi.
What's up?
All right, so we're gonna try and keep this under 50 minutes, and the first topic is what are some recent changes we have made in order to get the game ready for public release? Who wants to start?
Um, I can start, but I want to sort of change that question because it's not really changes. We've done a lot of changes, but I guess we've also added a lot of new stuff. So, would new things be really a change?
No, they'd be sort of an adaptation, more or less.
Okay. I guess we can list the things we've changed, and then depending like who's worked on them. Because I know we've. Well, let me just get the point out first. So, the biggest changes we've done is, I would say, spells, but regarding spells, I would say something like teleports and enchanting. Um, we've also changed quests, which should be a really basic description of them, sort of like, you know, why we've changed them, blah blah blah. And apart from those two, those are like the biggest things. You know, we've obviously changed a few things here and there, but I wouldn't say they're really that massive. You know,
Mhm.
but we've added a lot of new stuff as well.
Yeah. So more specifically, we added a new teleporting interface, led by Tristan.
The
Yep.
teleport is like it crashes the game right now, so until we get that fixed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that existed.
Yeah.
We've been optimizing some of the areas so that they run smoother. An example is Lumbridge. I'm not sure what you did to it, but would you explain that?
Yeah. So Lumbridge was the first ever sort of like the first ever area in the project. So this is dating to like oh, to be honest, this is dating way back when I was using Neverwinter Nights 1, which was something like, oh, it has to be over 6 years now that we're coming over to 2016. But Lumbridge in Neverwinter Nights 2, it's gone through changes now. Then it's like the first area you go in when you sort of like start the project, and it's the first area which, you know, there's always that saying, it's the first thought which counts, you know, or something like that. First impressions which count. So we always want to try and get Lumbridge looking the best. But recently, the changes I personally made, I tried to make it more medieval type. So you know, the roads are more muddier. You know, there's the ground's more. You know, the ground isn't just one texture, so the whole entire ground isn't green. There's like random mud patches in the ground. Where people's walk to their houses, there's like dirt came off a road, which is well, more like a path, not a road, but you know, there's dirt which has came off the path leading towards their houses and all that stuff. But I figured out why there was lag. But anyways, I'll just get that point out first. So the changes I made, Lumbridge had well, started to have a massive FPS issue, which is obviously a problem because I know you'd want to, you know, finish Tutorial Island and then, well, you know, maybe you skip Tutorial Island, so you'd want to log in and then log in straight to, let's say, Lumbridge, which is obviously the first area, and you don't want to be lagging straight away because, you know, that's going to be a really bad image on us, pretty much, because once, you know, first impressions and the game's lagging, yeah, that's going to put anybody off, to be honest. So,
Definitely.
pretty much for performance, I found out what the problem was, but also getting the medieval theme, it was sort of nice to do at the time. But then Lumbridge is Lumbridge in RuneScape, and it sort of felt like that it had to be like that fairly new, friendly place, instead of this like muddy roads and dark skies. But yeah, the biggest problem with the FPS was the grass. Funny enough, I tried to mix it up with grass because you don't want to use like everything everywhere, and then every place starts to look the same. But for some reason, the grass just gave the place an FPS issue.
All right. So let's talk about skill changes and
Well,
stuff.
I have one more thing that I did for performance
Oh,
was,
okay.
um, well, saving XP for players to the server would have caused like performance issues. So I optimized that. So you could have up to probably 2,400 players saving XP
Damn,
Yeah.
that's really
without
good.
without any effect on the server.
All right. So skill changes. I guess Tristan, you could talk about that.
Yeah. So all the F2P skills are finished. Mostly, I've just been working on the XP and leveling system. I recently fixed where you would start at level 0 when you log into the game. So now you would start at level 1 in all skills. Another thing, we started to add spells, and we all decided spells are going to be a part of rune crafting. So your rune crafting level would act as your magic level when you want to cast teleports or enchantments. That's about it.
Um,
Hold on, can I just butt in there? Sorry if you heard sort of like an audio just gone completely quiet. I was supposed to mute my mic, but accidentally muted the entire audio, so you might have heard Tristan just gone completely quiet for about a second. But yeah, that's fixed now.
uh, check the chat.
Oh, I guess I could talk about this quickly because before Tristan came to save the project, this was my sort of like my fall down. But so this would, like I said earlier, this was one of the biggest changes we had, especially with skills. We've spoken skills quite often, but I don't want to sort of talk too much about skills because I think there's newer big changes which we've done, which we've sort of mentioned already, but not gone into detail. But how skills worked was you would literally have a conversation you would talk to, and how I did this was fishing, for example. You'd go up, let's say a tutorial island because it's fairly similar, well, familiar place. So you'd go up to tutorial island and the woman would be like, "Hey, can you fish me some shrimp?" or something like that. And what you would do is you'd walk over to the pond and you would be clicking a crate underneath the water, but because it would be underneath the water, it would sort of like not be visible to the player. Um, if you had sort of like water reflections or refractions on, you'd be able to see the crate underneath the water, which was obviously a big turn off. But yeah, so what would happen is you would click this crate, and it would pop up a conversation, and it would say like, "Hey, how many fish do you want to shrimp? How many fish do you want to catch?" or something like that. And it was very poorly done. And like I said, I've mentioned this before, and it's you can see it in previous videos where I go into like massive detail about how the old systems worked. But yeah, it was absolutely terrible. It was just it was just terrible because like what we have now, there wasn't sort of like any let's say its own skill pretty much. But yeah, everything was pretty much just ran by conversations.
Yeah, and that was a complete mess for a long time.
Oh yeah, It's we still have the conversations in the tool set, but obviously we don't use them now. But
Yeah.
we just still have them, which is funny.
The next thing to talk about is sorry.
One thing I liked about conversations, and I want us to have like eventually some kind of way to put this back, is that when you were doing a quest, you kind of had a cinematic feeling.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, that's one of the things we can talk about when we get to the quests.
Yeah.
I think
Let's talk about bossing and stuff like that. More specifically, the quest you recently added in place of the Blood Pact, Aaron.
Oh right, that's the one we failed to test. Um,
A few
yes.
times.
So of course, this is a massive credit to Marshall, who's been a massive help to our project. We've got his, a lot of his plugins, such as the, let's say, the quest plugins, the spawn, or the loot, and all that stuff. It's all ran by him, pretty much. But so he's got this one, which is pretty much it makes bosses, pretty much. Now this quest, which Colton was on about, it was the Blood Pact quest in RuneScape. It's where you go into the Lumbridge, I don't know, Lumbridge Crypt, I guess. Well, it's sort of like the mausoleum place in the graveyard where I'm going to try to pronounce the name, but Xena or something. It's like that old lady. She's like, "Hey, somebody's been captured. Can you help them?" Blah blah blah. And you pretty much, it's called the Blood Pact quest, where you literally just stop these 3 people from performing a ritual, and yeah. You get really newbie rewards, but like I said, it's like a really starter quest, you know. It familiarizes you with sort of like range, mage, and melee, because you get the free rewards, well, the free item rewards from it. But in our case, because that quest felt like it was a sort of like an introduction to sort of like how the game works, I thought I would take sort of like an adaptation from that and sort of like do an alternative version. So obviously, you know, combat, you should have learned that on Tutorial Island to get very basic, so you can also train range and mage there as well. So it wasn't really the case of hey, you've just done Tutorial Island, do you want to test more combat? So what I did was I tried to keep it fairly on the same lines as the RuneScape quest, so I didn't want to be sort of like throwing somebody into sort of like a pit of lions and there's this massive quest where it's completely new to you. So it follows relatively the same plot / story. I don't want to sort of, it's a nice surprise quest because it includes a boss, and like I mentioned, this boss is sort of like an introduction on how games will work. But well, how bosses will work. I mean, sorry. But what happens is you go into a crypt. You get told that there's some cultists who are trying to bring back this locked up vampire which has been sealed away in the Lumbridge Crypt. So what you do is you go down there, you try and stop them, but alas, you're too late, and you pretty much just fight this vampire boss, which is pretty. Me and Colton tested this quest. We were planning to record it, but there was literally just one simple bug which I forgot to. There was just this one thing which I forgot to add in, which stopped us from finishing the quest. So we ended up scrapping the video, but we are still going to do the video, of course. But we scrapped that video. But Colton, well, regarding another thing, the quest boss, the stats on the boss wasn't good enough. So me and Colton we killed the boss fairly easy, but tactic-wise, Colton, what did you think of it? So like,
it was very new. We haven't had anything near that level of complexity yet, and I hope to add it to many of the other bosses in game.
oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. it was neat because the game didn't like hold your hand uh, through the whole thing, which is cool.
Yeah, I don't want to give, because obviously we need to record a video on it, so I don't want to give like away what the boss does, but it's like what you literally just said, it doesn't hold your hand, so there's this one point where you need to think and do something or else you're literally going to die. And it reminded me of a quest in the Demon Slayer quest in RuneScape, the new RuneScape 3 version, where there's this guy who's like, he puts up a like this protective barrier, and he shouts out to the players like, adventurer, come stand underneath me or else you'll take massive damage. It felt like that it was like a massive, something like holding your hand in the moment where you're supposed to be, trying to figure out the boss yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
A lot of the stuff in Molior is stuff you have to learn through like trial and error. It's not like we don't have any guides posted yet, so
yeah. Quickly add into that, because this recalls to somebody said on a video a while ago. It was actually the tutorial gameplay. So somebody asked something along the lines of, will you teach players how to trade, how to sort of like, I don't know, sell stuff at a store, and how to talk. But I was thinking, I didn't want to. Obviously, it would be easier to just tell people to do this, do that. But if we added all that stuff into the tutorial island, it would sort of get very,
cramped.
yeah. And stuff like that feels like it should be, like you said, you learn it yourself. Well, not really a trial and error, because you can't really trial and error trading. Unless you somehow manage to get scammed. But Neverwinter Nights 2's anti-scamming trading is very flawless in my opinion, because it has a second trade window where you can, well, it's not really a second window, but you have to literally double confirm your trade.
Yeah. Um, so the next thing to talk about is quests.
Oh yeah.
More specifically, like what have we done so far, and what have we to do yet?
Quests. We've made a lot of quests, such as wow. Let's just put it this way. Matching it up against the free-to-play quests, we only have 4 more quests to make. One of them is a counterpart to the Black Knights. Obviously, we are given it we're given the option for players to join either 2 factions because of the time frame we're in. So we're in year 20, the 5th age. So at that time, the Black Knights and the White Knights are in a truce. So instead of like the Black Knights as what you see in RuneScape now, they're all evil and plotting stuff. Let's say somebody who's like been a follower of Zamrock and is sort of like their first time on Molior RS. It would be cool for them to join the Black Knights and go from there and all that stuff. But so like I said, 4 quests. We just need to make the counterpart for the White Knights for that. There's also a Donators quest which I need to remake, and there's 2 quests which is a custom version of the Knight's Sword, which is related to the place where I'm building it at the moment, which I'll talk about in a second, and also a counterpart, well not counterpart, but a remake of the Dragon Slay, because like I just mentioned, time frame's different, so Dragon Slay, you can't kill Alvarg on this destroyed Crandor Island because, we have Crandor as a city. But let me just quickly point out to the viewers what I'm currently working on, because it looked like I was building in some random building. But this is the Halls of Camdozal, Camdozal, however you want to pronounce it. It is, like again, I've mentioned again, regarding to our time frame in the project. So I forget which exact year. I think it was around the year 40s or something, where the barbarians of Relica and, well, Fremenix / barbarians they invaded sort of like the eastern lands, not the eastern lands, but the east lands of like White Wolf Mountain, so places like, I don't know, Falador, and places around there. So obviously this included the halls of Camdozel, where the barbarians fought the dwarves. They invaded. Well, it was more of a crusade. They pretty much invaded because they thought that people were, well, which is true. They thought people were using spells for the wrong, and that only gods should use spells. So they thought the dwarves were using spells such as super heat, which I believe is the spell's name, where you use magic to turn ore into bars.
How dare you make your life easier,
Yeah.
cheaters.
So they destroyed the city, well, the halls of Camdozel. RuneScape doesn't really give no lore on it. It was just sort of like a place where the Camdo dwarves lived. So I've literally just had to try and remake something which would familiarise with the halls of Camdozel. So this is what you're looking at now. It's underground, obviously. Ignore the sky. How it does actually look. If you followed on us on Facebook, then you should have seen these already, but let me just change the day and night. This is what it looks like in the halls of Camdozel. It is again very dark, so everything, there's no sunlight, there's no moonlight, there's no source of light, so everything is just from these lamps and houses, so yeah, it's all pretty dark, but it does look really nice. The biggest problem was trying to make a city underneath, so like this ground. But yeah, you got these massive pillars.
Moria.
Yeah, sort of like Moria
Just a
from
little
Lord
bit
of
like
Rings. But yeah, this is Halls of Camdozel. So this is what I'm working on. I've depending on feedback, the outside, well, sort of like this area here is done to my knowledge. Obviously there might be a few touchings up now and then, but I'm just working on the interior. So I've just done the university of the halls of Camdozel. So yeah, RuneScape has a university now.
Excellent.
This is Cando dwarves are sort of like that. They're like the one-up of normal dwarves, where they're more professional. You know, they're related to the dragon plate bodies, the dragon pickaxes, and RuneScape 3 and all that stuff. So they're related to that. So I felt like they had to have a certain speciality to their knowledge. So I gave them a university. But yeah. So this is the Halls of Camdozel. So that's what I'm working on.
All right, cool. So topic 2. What are some things that will not be present upon release, but will be in the game once we have time to develop it? More specifically, most member skills, high scores, and dungeoneering. Who wants to talk about those?
I've been talking a lot, but can I just say,
Yeah.
it's hilarious how you get the odd person saying, "Hey, is there Slayer in the game? Hey, is there some like, I don't know, is there agility? Is there hunting?" But we've always said our main focus at the moment is to get free to play finalized, because say if we release free to play now and we started working on our Slayer, well, it's just my OCD. I can't let something undone just be left there.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yep.
I just always find it funny where people assume we've got member skills out.
Yeah. We are essentially remaking the entire game from the ground up. Provided we don't have to model stuff yet. But like skills and stuff like that. It took a team of like 200 people, like 10 years to do all that stuff. And we are very slowly trying to do the same, but with 4 or 5 people. So yes, we currently have all free-to-play skills done, and Tristan is refining them as much as possible. Did we want to do something with farming and herb lore that were like some of the same skills,
We were gonna.
Tristan?
I remember this. Yeah, we were gonna have like herbs that you would kind of forage for,
Mm-hmm.
and like say you're like walking around Lummy West, and you would just come across an herb, and you can harvest it. So
Yeah,
that's kind of how herb lore would work. And maybe for farming, it would give you seeds, but the way farming works is, well, you would plant a seed, and whenever it would rain in the game, the seed would start to grow and eventually be.
and so you could plant these all over the game, right? And
Well,
if they
of course, you'd
grew,
have to restrict it from like um, ci- cities or.
yeah, because if you like set something down there and it grew, somebody else could just walk up and take it, right?
Yep.
Um, so maybe farming is a skill that is reserved for people who want to wait until they have like a house or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I
'Cause
was
when you have
about to mention because I mentioned farming. Well, I've mentioned farming a lot in my player-owned houses and player-owned guilds. Where
mhm.
just a small recap, because obviously, if people want to know more about this, you can obviously watch a video. But like you just said, Colin, it would be bad to leave like on a Rana seed out in the open where anybody could grab it, because you don't want to be watching like paint dry pretty much. It would be nice if you had like this small house in Varrock where you could just plant it in your garden.
Yeah. And along with that, stuff that just spawns would affect the economy in different ways. So maybe some of this stuff is only obtainable from like a sailing and stuff like that. Places that people have to explore and um,
Yeah.
skill towards.
Yeah.
Um,
Any work better than that is.
yeah.
You wouldn't want
So
them just to be easily um, obtainable.
mhm.
That's on the same topic. I think that's it sort of doesn't make sense, because like Tristan said, it would be nice to scavenge these things, because finding seeds in the wilderness, in like well, obviously finding seeds would be one thing, but maybe you find like a random Rana patch just randomly growing, obviously not by player but just by random. I've never understood why just Slayer creature, obviously for profit, to make Slayer feasible, but to make it so only it's sort of like you can only get these seeds from Slayer.
Yet that doesn't make much sense, right? Like, why would this specific monster only have this seed? So maybe we could have some of the stuff obtainable through scavenging,
Yeah,
and then some of it obtainable through like quests and stuff like that.
yeah. Sorry, I got distracted there.
No problem. So that was skills. How about high scores? Like, that's something I've wanted to start on recently, but we don't have the capability yet. So we will probably wait until we have people playing to add that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I would say it's a must, because we need to attend everybody's,
mhm.
and
Yep.
you always get that one type of person who's very competitive.
Yep.
But then will there be skill capes though?
Yeah.
I would love skill capes, because obviously, it's skill capes, but it would be something we have to model, because can I just get this point across? Because I don't want to be like, if I'm just taking over this podcast, but there's just so many things you need to get across. At the moment, we are using sort of like everything which is created by obviously Obsidian and BioWare, this toolset which I'm in. So let's say this interior now. So obviously this is the halls of Camdos, and this is a house. So because obviously Neverwinter Nights 2 stuff is very, it's not like constant content being added to it and then we can just use it. It's getting to the point where, because we are literally making, we're making the entire RuneScape. That includes free-to-play members areas as well. And then we're making some custom places like Crandor and the Eastern Lands and all this stuff. It's getting to the point where we're using content, sort of like stuff over and over again. So, for example, I haven't used these stone chairs before, and I'm only using them with dwarves. So, you don't want to be walking into a house in Varrock and you see these stone chairs, because you're going to probably think a dwarf lives there. So to make this sound more familiar, with skill capes, say we do want to use a Neverwinter Nights 2 default skill cape look, because it looks nothing like a skill cape, and then it limits the amount of times, because trying to get this sounds reasonable is, you can't make items look like other items and then just change the colour, for example. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. We have a question from Nathan Carvito. This is impressive and look forward to being able to play the game. However, how are you guys... Oh, okay, so he's asking if there's any copyright issues. We've talked about this a lot. This is probably our number one topic, of all time. What we're doing is basically a mod for the game Neverwinter Nights 2, which came out in 2006 and was updated through 2009. And there are several people that have these persistent worlds, which is what Molior is. So, aside from being a mod, it's comparable to a DayZ or the original Counter-Strike. So we've talked to Mod Infinity about it. He said he would hand it over to his legal, but we haven't heard from him in 8 months. So, yeah. Do you guys have anything?
I personally would say we're fine, because, like you just said, Jagex's legal team were supposed to contact us, but they haven't, so, if we were a threat, they would have contacted us and told us to, say no. Yeah, and like Tom said, who is ironically making a private server.
Aaron, keep that documented, fact that you managed to contact them.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They said they would get back to you, and they never did.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Which, I don't want to say something rude, but Mod Infinity has sort of a track record of not really getting stuff done for us.
Those are fighting words, Colin. You're starting
Yeah,
to fight.
bring it on, Mod Infinity. We will destroy you in the duel arena.
But yeah, well, pretty much what I was going to say is, we're just a server, we aren't using Unreal or Unity, where people have tried in the past and they've got their asses handed to them.
Yeah, and it's not a direct copy. It takes place 120 years before the Sixth Age. So a lot of the stuff has to be customized to fit that. Lore, quests, storylines, NPCs, monsters, stuff like that. And it's also more of a re-envision because of the way the mechanics work.
Yeah.
So I guess we can move on if nobody has anything else.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something, Tristan?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right, Tristan. So the third topic is, what are some new things, custom content or otherwise, that will be part of the public release and what will we add later. So these are things such as the Halls of Camdozel, Crandor, the Wilderness, activities like sailing, and the Duel Arena, as well as player-owned guilds and homes. So those are the things we can talk about regarding that.
Well, I guess we could all take one and think what
Sure.
we could add onto it.
You're talking about because this release is just free to play. We're gonna work on sailing and stuff later on, right?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess what Cole meant was just whatever we
Yeah.
want to add later.
Yep.
No, I really want to work on sailing.
We'll get to that.
I'm kind of like, oh, go ahead. If you have
Nope. Oh, you can go. Go for it.
well, I'm thinking, I've been thinking about how sailing would work, and what I came up with is we're gonna have to figure out how to make instanced areas because
That's how we're doing the Duel Arena as well. Since we can't make
have we found
like-
a way yet though? to make-
Yeah, instances are possible.
Yep.
Okay.
But regarding the Duel Arena more specifically, that'll work similar to how sailing does, because say 500 people want to fight at the same time. They'll each talk to an NPC who will set them up in an instance section. They'll have options and stuff, such as extra like lions and dragons and stuff like that, as well as walls, traps, fortifications and stuff like that. So we'll have to have them as instances, and we can't just build 500 separate places. That would be a mess. It'd be humongous gigs of the same thing over and over again. So yeah, that's the Duel Arena. Let's talk about sailing as well, since they basically will use some of these similar scripts and stuff. With sailing, Tristan and I hopefully will have the first section of islands done by mid 2016. What do you think about that, Tristan? Is that all right?
I think that's a pretty reasonable estimate. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about sailing was, you know that game that I found? I mean, I'm thinking about asking the creator if we could use their sailing system as a basis for ours, the Dark Waters campaign, because it's pretty developed. The combat, the ports. We might want to do like the the perspectives differently. You know, where you're actually on the ship.
Yeah, I've always wanted to have two different sailings, a third-person perspective, and then a first-person view on the ship and stuff. So, that's pretty cool.
I'm not just gonna totally rip it, but I think we should use his as a basis for ours if you'll let us.
Yeah, I'm sure we can contact them on the Neverwinter server list. Okay, so let's talk about Crandor. I guess I'll let Aaron talk about that, since he's the lead of it.
What do you want to talk about it? Because I need to talk about the Halls of Camdozel.
Should I add in the thing about the Champions Guild? Is that still a requirement to sail to Crandor? All right.
Yes, but I wouldn't talk about it just yet because we haven't worked on it fully yet, so it might change.
All right. So the general gist of it is Crandor has not been destroyed yet because it's year 20, and that happens 30 years afterwards. So it's a huge trade center for Molior. Um, and the people who are on there, the players will be people who have done the Champions Quest, but I'll talk about that in maybe another video or something like that. But Crandor will also be tied in with sailing, um, and will be basically where you buy like a ship extensions and stuff like that, crew, um, figureheads, shielding cannons, and so on. Um, but we have some screenshots on our website of that. I'll grab a link if somebody wants to talk about one of the other things in there.
I guess that's my cue for the Halls of Camdozel. So the Halls of Camdozel, again, if you, I'll just mention it again in case anybody's just tuned in. The Halls of Camdozel is the Imcando Dwarf city, well, city, town, it's just called the Halls of Camdozel, so Camdozel is, I guess, the city's name. There's not really much lore as to sort of like what the place was. Obviously, you know, it was just home to the Imcando Dwarves, but it didn't show any like pictures of what the place looked like. You know, what was inside it and all that stuff. I know there's a great furnace, but that's pretty much just it. So this is our version of the Halls of Camdozel, as you can see in the toolset now. This is located underneath the Ice Mountain in Runescape. So if I show you over here, this is the little shaft. As you see, you've got a rope tied to it. Let me just change my camera, sorry. So you'll come down in this sort of like this little mine shaft thing, and you'll be sort of like having a massive overlook onto the sort of like the below pretty much. And as you can see, there's sort of like this little entrance here, so it's quite security is, you know, they have some sort of small, it's not far, I think it's around 10 to 20 years of before the barbarians of sort of like Relica invade. So they've heard slight rumours, you know, maybe they've scouted and they've heard like, I don't know, the Fremeniks slash barbarians are against, you know, people using magic. So they've just upped their defense like a little bit. So there's no NPCs here at the moment, as you can see. So what you do is the player would come in, they'd sort of like come over, talk to it. If they get access, then yeah, they'd come through, go down the stairs, and there. This is the main sort of like the city. So there's it's going to be a lot of sort of content here. So it's not like you only come here once and then that's it. It's going to be obviously heavy focused in mining and smithing. This place will be added into the free-to-play release. There's a quest involved with it, which is the sort of like a custom version of the Knight's Sword. So in RuneScape, the Knight's Sword, you have to find one of the last Imcando dwarves to make a blue-right sword for the knight. I forget his bloody name. You know, the squire of Falador. So you just need to make a sword for him because he broke his lord's blue-right sword. So yeah, obviously now the dwarves are like all living in blah blah blah. They are heavily focused in the blue-right sort of like ore, but obviously there'll be other places, you know, in case you want to sort of like mine iron. But I haven't really touched much on this sort of like the area, so this is example of one place where a blue-right cave would be. So maybe we can expand on sort of like the blue-right because it's not going to be so rare. So the blue-right is literally just it's not sort of like an offensive or defensive or to use in. It's really only cosmetic. So you know, maybe if I don't know, maybe if you get like you know, you do the quest for the Imcando dwarves, I don't know, maybe you can add some sort of like blue-rit trim on your armor, and then you get people saying, you know, they can trim your armor. I don't know. It's maybe you can make some sort of like blue rip plate body, blue right helmet. I keep saying blue rip, but it's blue right. You know, maybe you can make some blue right weapons, which are just purely cosmetic. They just, you know, maybe it'll be the fancy slash cosmetic appeal part of Molior RS. But yeah. So
Uh, we have another question from Tom. What made you use Never? Okay, so what made us use
oh,
the Electron toolset uh, instead of something else? Was there anything else that you could used instead to build on? We've had this question a lot. We made a video regarding it um, with Unity, right?
yeah.
Um, I guess this is your thing since you started it.
Yeah. It's I never really intended it to ever sort of like happen. So it wasn't the case of, hey, I bought Neverwinter Nights 2, I want to make RuneScape on it. It was never that. Surprisingly, the guy who asked this question is Tom, who I mentioned earlier about the Donator's quest, so I need to make his quest again. But Tom he was probably like one of the 10 subscribers I had at the time. When I was working on Neverwinter Nights, well, not really working on Neverwinter Nights 1. Tom's been my friend for ages now, but I've always enjoyed Neverwinter Nights 1, so we're working on Neverwinter Nights 2 now, so this goes back to Neverwinter Nights 1. I just enjoyed playing on this Lord of the Rings server and all that stuff. But obviously, a thing which catches my eye because I've always liked building stuff as I was a kid and blah blah blah. Neverwinter Nights 1 had a toolset where you could make your own places. I'd say the toolset is really only focused on things like, I don't know, making small campaigns, like small stories, like, I don't know, maybe a few hours long, and then that's it. So, Neverwinter Nights 2 is 100% definitely not made for, like, persistent builds and all that stuff. Obviously, there are persistent builds, but on a scale as RuneScape, there's nothing. It's definitely not made for something that big.
Yeah, we've basically done stuff that you're not really supposed to do at all with the engine. So it's held with duct tape and screws.
Pretty much. But just answer your question flat out. I was making random things. I was making a really crappy Elder Scrolls Oblivion module at the time. I was trying to replica Oblivion, but then I was thinking, you know, like 90% of the game is forest, so it's going to be a waste of time. And then it just randomly snapped because I was playing RuneScape religiously at the time, and I was like, hey, you know, I like both games, so why not just work on, you know, making a replica? Well, to be honest, I didn't really intend to replicate a whole of RuneScape, so I want to try to get this over and said as fast as I can because it's got a massive story behind it. But literally, I created Lumbridge on Neverwinter Nights 1. I showed it to my clan when I was on RuneScape. They all enjoyed it and they wanted to see sort of like more areas, like they wanted to see Varrock. So I was like, okay, so I built places like the desert north of Alcarid, which was my like second place I built, and they were like, cool, I want to see more. And then things led on, and you know, more stuff happened, blah blah blah. And then it got to a point where I started to make videos, and then it got to a point where everybody kept asking, you know, when can I play it? And, you know, people were asking when can they play the project when I only had, like, Lumbridge down. So, it sort of got in my mind that, you know, wouldn't it be cool if I could make RuneScape in Neverwinter Nights 2? Well, at some point I switched over to Neverwinter Nights 2 because it was obviously better, but, it just got into my mind, you know, why not just make RuneScape in Neverwinter Nights 2, and then I never sort of got into it, you know, religiously, where it was like my 100% main goal. Whenever I was really bored, you know, I just started working on the tool set and, you know, making an area now and then. But yeah.
All right. Back to topics. Maybe we can talk about the wilderness. I'll start, and then you lead after that since you redid it for me. Um,
Oh yeah.
so I started it, I guess, early this year, and I got pretty far with it, about like 80% done, um, landscape wise, aside from like the NPCs and stuff. And for some reason, the engine decided to not save it and just go crazy, which happens from time to time with it to all of us. And it set me back about 80 hours of dev time. So then I got pissed and quit that project of it. That was terrible. I think that was my biggest loss of uh, construction time overall.
Yeah.
I have lost some areas and stuff, but nothing that big. That was humongous. It's like the entire wilderness. And then it had saved back when I had 5 or 6 of the 9 sections done, but like not like detailed yet. So then I sent it over to you, and you redid it all, and it
Yeah.
looks pretty nice. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah. Some of my stuff is there, but most of it's yours. It looks fantastic. It's great. It's perfect.
Wow. To be honest, it's all I can say is it's the wilderness. Everybody who's played RuneScape should know what it is. That is literally it. But there's a few things. It should be a sort of like a massive, because hopefully the wilderness would be the next thing we introduce into the sort of like the next expansion, I guess you could call it, once the server's released and all that stuff. Because obviously it'll introduce PvP, and it's PvP should be something really fun to see, because characters are really defined by how you build them. I've mentioned this in previous videos, so I don't want to go into massive detail about it. But yeah, characters are really just defined by how you build them, so it would be nice to see PvP. But then on that topic, we hopefully are introducing like monsters like the King Black Dragon, also other creatures like green dragons and hellhounds and stuff like that, and greater demons. So there's the next tier of high level monsters. So it would be, as well as King Black Dragon, stuff like Chaos Element, maybe a few custom bosses, because we are slightly basing it off RuneScape 3, but then we have a few things from old school. So maybe we'll have some giant spider roaming around the wilderness, like fairly similar to old school, which Venenatis, I believe its name is, something like that. I would say that's more in Tristan's department, because I don't play old school.
Oh, yeah. That's its name. Then there's 2 other... I like the Chaos Fanatic. He's just
Yeah.
this... He's just this crazy guy like Mad Melzar.
Yeah, Malzar's cousin.
He walks around like a drunk and throws green shit at you. Yeah.
But yeah,
Just-
wilderness is, wilderness is wilderness. There's not a lot of stuff you could say about it. It's just PvP and the things I've mentioned.
You're doing that, you remember you were planning like a tower defense?
Oh yes. Yeah, there is some extra content, because the wilderness in RuneScape, it feels like you just go in there, and that's sort of like the only reason you go in the wilderness is to kill, well, other players, and maybe you have a clue scroll which tells you to go in the wilderness. But apart from things like green dragons, which should be a massive part in the project, because items like green leather bodies and all that stuff would be very rare, because nobody's killed a green dragon yet. But or unless you get on Crandall, where you can buy it, the same as like rune plate bodies. But Yeah, it's the wilderness doesn't feel like it has enough content apart from the PvP elements, but you don't want to PvP all the time. So what I've done is I added some sort of like tower defense where it's low tier wise, so it's like you kill like level 7 zombies which are attacking this like camp which is defending Edgeville. So obviously they will never invade Edgeville. They would get to a point where I don't want to go into detail about it because it will be way too long. But yeah, you just get small tasks from there. It's a nice way to get some starter gold. So like the guy you get tasks from, he gives you a good amount of gold from it. And let's just say it gets to a point where if nobody's defending the place, the zombies will sort of like overrun the NPCs, and the NPCs take a while to spawn. And they could kill the person who's given out the tasks. So if the guy dies who has like the tasks, then you can't get the tasks and make gold pretty much. But that's pretty much, apart from stuff like King Black Dragon, where I don't know, depends what if we give it like a visage drop, which I can't imagine doing that just yet. But yeah, it would be a nice a nice new boss in the game.
Let's make a mention. We need modelers and animators.
Oh,
yeah. Yep.
It's not
We
me.
can't. We can't pay people yet, until we get some sort of revenue off of anything. So it'd be strictly voluntary. None of us are making cash at all. That's how it is. We do this on our own time. So if anybody in the chat or watching knows how to model stuff, then that'd be great.
It might ever get to the point where we would just need to pay some professional to do it quickly.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
obviously we can't like this goes back to what I was saying. Let me just get this out quickly. This goes back to when I was mentioning we're hitting the sort of like the limit of what we can use. So let me show you quickly in the toolset. So for example, let's type in black dragon. So let's type in black drag. So this is a black dragon. So in the wilderness, there are like
Black Dragon Lives Matter.
a few black dragons underneath the. I forget the name. It has a name, but I forget its exact name. It's the same area as where you pull the lever to go to the King Black Dragon, but it's sort of like north of it. I think it's called like the Lava Cavern or something. But there's a few black dragons here. So this is what black dragons look like in game. As you can see, they're very, menacing. They got massive horns and teeth. But yeah, so for example, we can call this a black dragon, yes, but then we can't also call it a king black dragon because it looks exactly the same. The king black dragon is very distinctive on having three
It
heads.
has 3 heads.
So yeah,
Jinx.
we can't use like the same model for two things pretty much. So
Oh, one more thing, which might be a big problem, is capes with modeling.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you said the slots were different, right?
yeah, they had 2 different files. One was for players, and then the other's for. They have a separate file for a cape, so they're not attached. You have to line them up with their neck.
yeah, to be honest, I would say that's not really a massive problem at the moment. Like, especially if you're lighting like a log, your cape just is floating on its own. So, yeah, it's a bug which needs fixing at some point, but it's not game breaking. It's not a massive priority.
Yeah.
We could probably attach capes to helmets, like a hood, and then that'd be cool, right? I think
Yeah.
that'd work, maybe. But all right. We can either talk for a few more minutes and then stop, or talk about player-owned homes and guilds and like stuff like that. It's up to you.
Well,
Because we've been streaming for about an hour now.
Yeah, but Linz and AV hasn't really spoken much. Well, obviously, given that they can't give in as much information as we can, like things we
Yeah.
spoke about. But it would be nice to sort of get them involved on like not really like I don't know, say like play around houses, but I don't know. AV, you've done Tutorial Island, right?
Yeah, I played it.
So it's always nice to sort of like, because I can say, oh yeah, the project is great, but that's a developer's, well, that's
Yeah.
obviously my opinion, which isn't really trustworthy because I'm blowing my own trumpet. So, what would be your
No,
opinion
I mean,
on it?
I definitely do like it so far. I've only had a chance to play it on my Mac, which is a laptop, so it's kind of bad on both ends. But like, I mean, like some kind of like a few of the problems I encountered was like the zoom. Again, I'm using like a parallel desktop thing, so might have something to do with like the FPS and it's just being a little laggy. But other than that, definitely graphics wise, it does look a lot more realistic than RuneScape, which I do like. Nighttime, I could say it does get sometimes a bit too dark at some places, which can be scary. But yeah,
Yeah. Like all of the mines are almost pitch black, and you can light like torches and stuff like that, so that helps. It's supposed to be scary though. Super scary.
yeah.
How about we add torches to fire making?
That would be cool.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'll write it down. You write it down, Tristan.
Written.
All right.
Well, yeah, I guess you could have like candles too. Like, do you have like the candle maker and everything in RuneScape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, there is which I find stupid, I guess. RuneScape does have what Tristan just mentioned, where, well, my mind's just gone blank, so I forgot who exactly mentioned it. Where you can, craft torches through fire making. But RuneScape does have that where you can do all the different lanterns. Like, there's like the candle lights, the
Bullseye, yeah.
or bullseye's lantern. I forget the other
The
one.
bug lantern.
Yeah, and then there's like that mining helmet which gives off light source. But they are all the same, So like a candle is relative. Well, apart from a minor few things like the bullseye lantern, it doesn't explode in like the Lumbridge caves. But apart from that, you can just take a candle anywhere, pretty much.
Yeah, it just says like you need
We-
the light source
Yeah.
to get down there or whatever.
We can change the light intensity on separate things. Like have some of them be super dim and then some be really bright.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a candle would be smaller than like a lantern, so
Yeah. But it,
And they blow out.
it would be nice if you we had these things where if you were like, I don't know, if you were I don't know, 30 fire making, it would be nice where you could literally just your light
Snap.
source would be better. I don't know, maybe if you make like a willow torch or something, like a torch made of willow where it burns more brighter.
Yeah.
It's like you're carrying around this like personal
Magic is blue.
yeah.
When you're 99 fire making, you just snap your fingers and everything.
Hey.
Yeah, as you walk, as like fire just comes underneath your footprints.
That should be like the skill cape effect.
well, I mean,
That would be
yeah,
cool.
like
That'd be really cool.
Maybe we
the
could have
emotes
that.
already, like, yeah, the emote's already like fire going between his hands, which is kind of cool.
Because I know you can add lights onto things, so maybe the fire making skill cape, it just gives off this light, so you don't have to carry a torch. As long as you're wearing a cape, it's like a torch, pretty much.
That'd be good.
And maybe it's like the brightest one ever.
It has
Yeah.
cool flame effects.
Yeah,
This is
that-
gonna be fun. We should
Well,
do like,
actually, you should do that with the fire cape.
we just
Yeah, I was
talk
about to say the fire cape. Yeah, fire cape would be something we would definitely have to model ourselves. Wow, animate, I guess, as well.
Most of the members' armor that'll
Oh yeah.
have to be done by ourselves too. That'll be a
Cool.
chore.
Is
Maybe
there like dragon
AV.
armor and stuff?
Yeah.
Tell us about your plans, AV.
Oh, about like the next other game?
No,
Or
you want to do modeling, right?
oh well, yeah. Modeling wise, yeah. I mean, I'd definitely be down to learn. I mean, I've experimented a little bit with like RuneScape private servers, making like guns and stuff, but nothing like too crazy.
Yeah. Done.
See,
Wait,
he actually made something.
Oh yeah, I've made guns on like RuneScape, but like it's kind of hard to get them like coded in because people don't really have too much experience with that.
what I find funny is you go, I've made guns on RuneScape, nothing too crazy.
Well, yeah, no, I haven't made it like it's not like guns splurting out of people or blood spurting out of people and stuff, but or like an FPS. There's some crazy stuff out there. Like people have made like an FPS version of RuneScape pretty much.
There's
And
a
all the trees and stuff.
private server that is like it looks exactly like San Andreas. I think it's that one, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
GTA, RuneScape.
While
I'll find it.
Well, yeah, I might have sent you guys that one, like the Ghetto Online one, but there's this here, I'll try to link it or something, but I think it's called like Apocalypse or something.
I found it.
there
Yeah.
was
Here.
a Neverwinter Nights one. Oh, this is Neverwinter Nights one, so I don't know if it'd be any easier for Neverwinter Nights
Yeah,
2.
that one's Ghetto Online, which is
There was are you all familiar with Aliens, like the Aliens movie and all that stuff?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
So somebody created. I don't think it was like it wasn't sort of like supposed to be like Aliens, but it was relatively the same. But somebody created like a spaceship in Neverwinter Nights 1, whereas there's like TVs, there's I don't know, there's like control desks with like flashing lights and all this stuff, and there was like this, those typical generic alien doors where you walk up to the door and it opens automatically, so stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. That's cool.
I think that's like you're a lot more skilled than us if you made a gun and put it in the game.
Yeah.
No, that's the problem. I couldn't put it in game because I'm not as good with like coding Java-wise for that stuff. But like, there are like modelers that people made on forum websites, so
Yeah.
it's a little tweaking here. And I wish I could get it in game though. But I did like put it up to the character to see what it would look like. So
Luckily, it's actually fairly easy to add stuff, but a lot less easier to model it. So, yeah, like all you have to do is like make a few like a hack or something like that, and it's in, bam. But we can't model stuff.
What about
don't
you,
know how to.
Linz? Would you see
well,
yourself
yeah, the
modeling?
graphics are definitely.
I don't know if you heard me.
What was
Linz.
that?
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Would you see yourself modeling, or because I know you're working up with me on quests, but do you see yourself modeling?
I've done amateur modeling and some in college and some in high school.
Maybe we can get you on modeling. That might be cool.
Or animating.
Or
Maybe.
animating. Because
I mean, yeah, I could definitely work on a new website if you guys want to. Make it a little more professional.
Maybe something that would attach
you know-
to a server here, so we could add a like a high score list and who's online, stuff like that.
yeah. That's I know that's
Okay.
possible.
I mean, I know how that works. Yeah, I know that's a little bit easier integration with like RuneScape private servers because they already have like website packs where you can just kind of like integrate it.
Yeah.
But this is gonna have to be like totally custom, pretty much. I think
Yeah.
We could use that and see if we can tweak it.
maybe, yeah.
'Cause basically how it works, right, is that it shoots out to Well, it kind of shoots out from the game to a file. And
Yeah, that's what I think. Probably like a text file or something, and then it just, I don't know,
yeah,
updates or something.
yeah, we could do that because we
Yeah.
got like the Marshall's database
Okay.
system. That reads
Uh,
like a file, right, Colton?
Yes, yeah.
yeah, I know my friend gets like a premium Weebly thing, so like you just have to pay for the .com domain, which I wouldn't even mind doing. And you get free hosting every month. So you'd have like a .com domain too. That'd be cool.
Sweet. All right. I think that's about it. If anybody else has anything they want to talk about before we end.
I'm kind of wondering about combat. Are we still working on combat?
It's all about testing combat now. So, is something OP? If it's OP, nerf it. If Jeremiah, Jeremiah's also another dev. He's mostly the tester. He's tested the creatures, and I've edited it to their slights of like what I've got back from, what Jeremiah told me about them. So creatures should be fairly balanced. But again, it's all about testing. Once we start playing the server, and once players start saying like, "Hey, I don't know, hellhounds are one-hitting me. Can you sort of like fix that or something?" Then yeah, we can fix it like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I got nothing.
Neither do I. We've covered a lot of stuff.
Yep.
There's a
So-
lot of stuff to cover, but it's all
Yeah,
about-
I mean, like, what else, like, in terms of fairly new content being released soon, is that just, like, quests, I guess, or?
Mainly
I'm
quests.
Okay.
I'm gonna be working on finishing the spells, like enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
Already planned out, and that's pretty much it for me.
I am about to start on the world map, which is a bit larger than 4K res. It'll be humongous, like maybe 60 megs of just
Damn.
high quality pictures. It'll be nice.
Well, so how are you doing that? Does that work with, like, the mini-map, like how RuneScape does? They just, like, it automatically makes it, or are you kind of, like, manually doing this?
It'll
I have
be-
to manually do it, yeah.
Oh,
But
well.
after that, I'll have it coded so that it'll just pop up in the game. There's zoom in and out options and stuff like that. So
okay.
the only issue with that is I might have to compress them down because it'll be really big.
Yeah. So it's gonna be kind of like, I guess, what is that, like OS Buddy, where you can kind of open the world map in the game?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
You already have area maps, though, but the world
But
map.
this will be like a world map, like huge.
Yeah, like if
It's cool to make it like in a 3D like globe,
Yeah.
you know. But
I mean, like, what would kind of be cool is if you could add, like, trackers, like, if you need to go to somewhere, and you could add, like, okay, add this as, like, a destination, so you could kind of, like, on your mini-map, it would blink if you're near it.
Yeah, but it should also be. I think that's something which RuneScape is sort of, gone off. Because as is essentially, you aren't spamming on the mini map to move.
Yeah.
You can only you only can go where you can see pretty much. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
for example, the biggest one would be, let's say, the Trino maze. You would literally have to navigate the maze yourself instead of sort of like trying to click on the center of the maze.
Well, yeah, in cases like that, but I'm saying, like, if you had to go from, like, Falador to, like, Camelot or something, and it has, like, an arrow pointing to, like, go west, and, like, once you go west far enough, it'll be, like, a yellow arrow, or, like, it'll go from, like, red to yellow.
Oh yeah, like in
thing.
RuneScape 3, but I guess it should be all about the player finding stuff themselves.
Yeah,
Well,
it's true.
obviously, if you've played RuneScape before, you should fairly know where, because we've literally just made it so it's fairly the same as RuneScape. So You know,
Yeah.
if you're in Falador, you know where you know Camelot's west. You literally all you have to
Right.
do is go west.
I mean, yeah, like I think like just having a world map in general is good enough. Just so you know, like kind of your general direction.
Yeah.
I've got to go to.
All right. See you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace.
So I guess we'll end the podcast here. 1 hour and 15 minutes in. All right. Please like and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. And see ya.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.
It's